The Kerrville City Council is now in session. Would you please stand for the invocation and the pledge? Our fathers, we come before you tonight. As always, we ask for your guidance and your discernment as we approach these decisions. Help us, Father, to be faithful to serve all the citizens and to serve faithfully. And Father, in this season, I pray that in a national election, city, county, Lord, that we will come out of this time saying democracy has worked again. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. By the way, we will come back to announcements in just a minute, but I would like for representatives from the Kerrville Independent School District to please join me here on the stage. Now, we are not going to pass this microphone because of COVID-19, but if you could speak to the citizens here, just tell us who you are and like what school.
My name is Dylan Warren, and I am a teacher at Stark Elementary.
Hi, I'm Carissa Lauren, and I'm at House. Hi, I'm Kim Boyer, Stark Elementary. Hillary Swanger, Alpharetta Middle School. Regina Johnson, BT Wilson. Tracy Gray,
Joe Perales, Director of Maintenance. Austin Clarkson, Tidy High School.
Dana Benedict, Early Childhood. Mrs. Clark.
All right, good. That is a great representation. And I want to read this Kerrville Kindness Award because the city really appreciates what you have done and what you continue to do under difficult circumstances and uncertain times. It is genuinely appreciated. And what a difference you make in the life of this city, given what you're doing day by day. And I'm going to point out one thing. Joe is here because of the superintendent and others' appreciation for the maintenance staff that has worked so hard to clean these schools, to take care of them, so that there is as little infection as possible. And so anyway, we thank you, Joe, but we thank all of you. Let me read this proclamation. City of Kerrville recognizes the Kerrville Independent School District staff and teachers with the October 27, 2020 Kerrville Kindness Award. The Kerrville Independent School District staff and teachers have exemplified the very best in ingenuity, adaptability, and willingness to go the extra mile when it comes to educating and caring for Kerrville's youth during the COVID-19 pandemic. KISD staff and teachers have repeatedly found new ways to continue their students' learning processes, whether to be in person or through online teaching, and have selflessly pursued vitally important education goals despite the handicaps, roadblocks, and potential medical adversities resulting from COVID-19. And this is signed by all of the members of the City Council. I don't know where this is going to end up, but since you're next to me, I'm gonna give it to you. All right, and we got a picture to, okay.
You start. How are y'all doing? I will do it. I will do it.
One of them was me.
Okay, Mayor, if you'll stay up here with me while I do this next recognition. Chief Smith is fond of telling me or saying to me, "You got a little time for your fire chief?" He'll come by and want to talk about some subject, and of course I always do. So, Chief, you got a little time for your city manager? Come on up. The first thing I have is a plaque or trophy, if you will, for your service to the city of Kerrville. It says thank you for your 5 years of outstanding service. Actually, it's been a little bit more than that. And dedication to the city of Kerrville, November 2020. So there's that, Chief. And then I have a recognition that I'd like to read. City of Kerrville Certificate of Recognition is hereby presented to Danny Smith, Kerrville Fire Chief, for his 39-year career as a firefighter. Danny Smith began his career with the City of Houston Fire Department in 1981. He spent 22 years with the Houston Fire Department, advancing from a firefighter and emergency medical technician to assistant chief. He was twice honored for valor. During 2007, Smith led the Texas Fire Chiefs Association's effort to create the Texas Intra-State Fire Mutual Aid System, the current statewide fire service mutual aid plan. And in 2008, he was honored as Texas Fire Chief of the Year by the Texas Fire Chiefs Association. He served as an advisory board member for Houston Community College and Texas A&M TEACS fire training programs. He has served as an instructor for Houston Community College and the Executive Development Institute at Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana. Smith has also held the position of fire chief in the cities of Sugar Land and also Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Chief Smith's leadership and professionalism are unmatched and they have had an impact beyond his own department into the rest of the city organization and the community. The city of Kerrville would like to recognize Chief Smith's many accomplishments and contributions and honor and congratulate him on his retirement. Could you please help me recognize Chief Smith? Can we get all the firemen that are here to come and come on stage, please? We'd love to have a picture with you with the chief. Okay.
Yes. Get the short one up front.
You wouldn't even know Mary was here.
Got everybody there? There we go. All right. 1, 2, and 3. Let's do one more. 1, 2. Great, thank you.
So while everybody's making their way back to their chairs, I just want to say one more thing, and Chief, the mic's yours, you get the last word. But Chief Smith is one of the finest individuals I've ever had a chance to work with in my 35-year career. 7 different Texas cities and thousands of employees. And it's been an honor to work alongside you. And I really appreciate our friendship. You're going to be sorely missed.
Let me start by saying thanks to each and every one of you that come out today to wish me farewell. Our city manager, since he's been here, I guess 3-4 years now, he's implemented this thing where he likes to take the SET team through leadership books. And one of my favorite leadership authors is John Maxwell. And John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. So I just want to part with these ways. It's been an awesome opportunity to share with leaders like I have today with this council. You know, as a fire chief, you can ask for a better council. And I say the same thing to you, our city manager. You know, you've been an awesome city manager to share with, challenged me at times, but always allowed me to be fire chief, and I appreciate that. EA, Mike, I know Kim and Amy, you're out, and a number of the SET team members and leadership team members. It's just been an awesome team to serve with for the last 6 years. And Houston will always be etched in my heart, but there's a saying in the fire service, you know, when someone passes, you may be gone, but you're never forgotten. To the men and women of the Kerrville Fire Department, never worked with a group like you guys before. And while I'm departing, I'll be gone, but I promise you, you guys will never be forgotten. Thank you.
One of the things I would like to say is that Chief Smith led us through the COVID experience. We met in leadership every week through much of that. He always brought us info about what was happening, the situation we were facing, and other things, and was always ready to be of real help. Like the Shriner University as the students returned, KISD, when the testing was going related to the nursing home, so just invaluable. Let me back up just a minute and say that
Mayor, we do have one citizen signed up to speak for the recognition.
oh, okay, yes, all right, okay.
Dale Trees.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Good evening and thank you. My name is Dale Trees and I'm chairman of the City of Kerrville Recovery Community Coalition. I'm also a person in long-term recovery. Chief Danny Smith joined the Kerrville Recovery Community Coalition in June of 2017 and has been highly respected gentleman of calm, rational advice on all situations and discussions that this board has attempted to resolve. You, sir, have been a pillar of sound reasoning and solid direction. And we appreciate and thank you for your leadership. And on behalf of the KRCC board, we'd like to give a congratulations to Chief Eric Maloney and for your new appointment as well. And from my understanding, will also be our new board executive for the Kerrville Recovery Community Coalition. Our prayers are with you as well, especially as our new liaison, as we are very delighted you will be guiding us now as we continue our path forward advocating for those who are in recovery. Chief Smith, perhaps unknowingly, You have taught me a great deal, and a great lesson through your leadership and your support of this community, as well as the board and our purpose. And I will never forget, and I will always carry that with me. It has been a great honor to work with you on this board, and while we shall keep working toward a positive experience in our community, helping those who are seeking, who are in, and for those who are helping others that are in our recovery, in our community from recovery from substance use and mental health issues. Please know that the entire board of KRCC and our community are extremely grateful for the work that you have put forth in supporting our purpose, and that our entire community of Kerrville, and you will certainly be missed. Happy retirement, sir.
Thank you, Dale. Let's move back up just a minute to a few comments that I want to share. Citizen participation, in addition to attending here, is still available via Zoom, emailing, or using the City Hall Dropbox before 4 p.m. And all the instructions are online on the city website. If anyone present wants to speak on an agenda item, by now they would have been required to sign up when they came into the building. When speakers are called, they're to come to the podium in front of the stage and begin by stating their name and address for the record. Note that the public comment periods are for council to set aside time to specifically hear from you. Any questions that you might have will not be responded to until after public comments have been concluded. At this time, we come to the announcements of community interest and ask Mr. Conyers to report that for us.
Thank you, Mayor. We just have a couple of announcements tonight. This year, we had to call off our Fright Night for obvious reasons, but that doesn't mean that the Parks and Recreation Department is taking time off. They have come up with a new idea, and judging from the online response and from what we've seen out in Louise Hayes Park and along the River Trail, it's really taken off. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about it. It's called Pumpkin Rock Scavenger Hunt. The Parks Department invites everyone to stroll along the Kerrville River Trail in search of these painted pumpkin rocks that you see above. The rocks are being hidden at various trailheads and along the river trail. And when you find the rock, you can bring it to the park office, and they have some Halloween goodies there that you can redeem it for. Like I said, so far this has been pretty popular. It'll be going on all week, so we encourage everybody to get out there and look for those rocks. And then one final reminder, if I can turn doesn't seem to want to turn, but I want to remind everybody that early voting ends this Friday, October 30th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, at the Hill Country Youth Event Center and the Ingram Independent School District. Of course, Election Day is next Tuesday, November 3rd, and again, the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, there will be 20 different polling places throughout the county, and you can find a complete list of those polling places on the county's website. So we encourage everyone to get out and vote. Thank you very much.
All right, council members, anything in terms of announcements? Okay, just point of personal privilege, let me share that this afternoon we did the annual evaluation of Mark McDaniel, the city manager. There's a very specific process that we go through to do that. And I want to report to you that the comments and evaluations were very positive of what Mark is doing, what he's done this year, difficult year with COVID and reduced income and other things. But the council has great confidence and trust in our city manager.
Thank you.
At this time, we come to the Visitors Citizens Forum. Any citizen with business not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the city council. Prior to speaking, each speaker must fill out the speaker request form and give it to the city secretary. The speaker request form must be submitted to the city secretary before the item is called or read into record. City council may not discuss or take any action on an item, but may place it on a future agenda. Each speaker is limited to 4 minutes. All right?
Yes, sir, we have 2 speakers. Peggy McKay.
Peggy McKay, 103 Westchester, Kerrville. My comments are directed to the council meeting of October 21st and the discussion of the potential workforce housing development on Highway 534, specifically to the banker's comments and his concern for our local builders who deserve the same advantage as an out-of-the-area builder, free publicly owned land in order to hit the price points. Why were our local builders not granted an opportunity, perhaps even as a group, to submit bids that included free land? Maybe their price point would be easier to reach. Was the idea of a grouping of local builders ever explored? The same opportunities for all, the free land. This local banker is concerned that, and I quote, "This is a desperation move and a decision being rushed," unquote. After listening to the discussion of the October 21st meeting, I agree with him.
Okay, another speaker?
Jerry Wolf.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Wolf. I live at 509 North Buckboard Drive, and I am president of the Kerr County Patriots Club. I spoke in the Visitors Forum during the last meeting 2 weeks ago after having my request to have a pro-life resolution to be put on that meeting's agenda was declined. I ended my presentation with a request that the item be put on tonight's agenda. That failed, so here I am again to speak in the Visitors Forum. You have heard by now that yesterday the Kerr County Commissioners Court formally approved the same pro-life resolution that has been presented to you. Kerr County's voice is now being heard statewide. It has become the second county in Texas to approve a pro-life resolution, and it joins 16 Texas cities. In fact, the Texas cities, in fact, have passed an ordinance. Among the major reasons for the county commissioners voted affirmative for the resolution is one I think that you'll agree with. That is to highly discourage an abortion clinic open its doors in the heart of the Texas Hill Country. The city has several ways not available to the county to legally prevent an abortion clinic from opening up for business. Wouldn't it be prudent now to explore the different ways the city can keep this despicable procedure from ever being performed within the city limits, except for morally justified reasons? If you're not in favor, for whatever reason, of our resolution at this time, then would it not be wise to put on a meeting's agenda in the near future to have a discussion to analyze the various means the city has been granted under state law and the city charter to stop or greatly hinder an abortion clinic setting up shop in Kerrville? We all know that it would be better to act while there is still time to fully research the alternatives rather than have to wait to act in a period of crisis. I will leave you with that to mull over and trust that you will take action. The Patriots invite you to join with us to pray for ways to protect the life of the unborn in Kerrville. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes, would you make a comment?
Yes, Mayor. And I'm not trying to minimize certainly the issue of abortion or anyone's beliefs or certainly efforts. This concerns an issue, whether it's in this resolution or an ordinance or some of the actions that Mr. Wolf has presented, I want to be real clear that the city has no authority or jurisdiction over those issues. Personal beliefs are absolutely important, but so is the rule of law as well. And there are ways to change the law, but you need to start at the federal level, and then that would move down to the state. But the law, as it is currently provided both through case law and state law, doesn't concern cities, and we have no involvement in that.
Okay, thank you.
So Mayor, if I could, I'd like to address Ms. McKay's comments.
I'm sorry, what?
I'd like to address Mrs. McKay's comments.
Okay, all right.
So she was commenting on, as you all know, the Lennar Development Project. We did open that project 3 times to the building community, including local. We did have some local that bid. The incentives that were requested were very significant, much more significant than what Lennar was asking for. Or there were other issues with those proposals in terms of the structure of the deal. We did have some that actually did group together in making their proposals. But the fact of the matter is we went forward 3 times and did not get anything that would match what we got from Lennar. And I was running some numbers today, as a matter of fact, on the return on investment from Lennar's proposal. And even if it's at the minimum of 10% of the homes per year, so for example, just 13 homes in the first year and then another 10%, so forth, over a 10-year period, during that 10-year period, there'd be a return on investment of 226%. And then, of course, that includes not just city taxes, but county taxes, KISD taxes, and city water and sewer sales. So, and we did try. That would have been our preference, and I think we heard from Ms. Clarkson last council meeting that would definitely be our preference, but that just wasn't going to happen in terms of the way the homes have to be built and the economies of scale that a production builder can bring to Kerrville. And as far as the letter from the banker, there has been contact with some of those builders that were mentioned in his letter, and they denied any interest in what he was saying. So that's really the facts of the case.
Okay, all right, thank you. Let's move to the consent agenda. And unless a council member pulls an item or someone signed to speak on a consent agenda, then all of these items may be voted on at one time. What is your pleasure, council, in regard to this? And do we have anybody to pull an item or to speak to this?
No, sir, no one signed up.
All right.
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we do approve them, but maybe some discussion on them. I would make a motion that we approve 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, 4F, and 4G under the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion second. Let's vote on it, then we'll come back to comments.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay. All right, all in favor of the items on the consent agenda, let it be known by the raised hand. And it carries unanimously.
And I just want to say that I hope that people understand that the 4 decontamination systems that will go to the 4 fire stations is grant money, and it's COVID grant money, and it is not coming out of our budget. So I just want people to understand that.
Okay, all right. Now let's go to the 5A ordinance. Ms. McLennan.
Ordinance number 2020-21, second reading. An ordinance changing the zoning of a 1.93 acre property, more commonly known as 1478 State Highway 173, Bandera Highway, consisting of part of Lot 16, Block 2 of the High Point at River Hill subdivision, from a single-family zoning district to a neighborhood commercial zoning district, C1, and providing other matters relating to the subject.
Okay, this is second reading, and it passed last time, but do we have any speakers?
No, sir, no one has signed up.
All right. Anything from council? All right. Do we have a motion second to proceed?
I'll make a motion that we approve approval of the ordinance number 2020-21 on the second reading.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it passes unanimously. 5B.
Ordinance number 2020-22, second reading. An ordinance changing the zoning for a portion of a subdivision consisting of Lot 1, Block 1, Arcadia Falls Estates, more commonly known as 2255 Arcadia Falls, from a single-family zoning district R1 to a medium-density zoning district R2, and providing other matters relating to the subject. No one has signed to speak.
Okay. Council, any further questions on this on second reading?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2020-22 on the second reading.
All right.
I'll second.
Okay.
Or whoever.
Cochran, second. Okay. All in favor of this item, please let me know by the raised hand. Okay. Now, 6A, Ms. McLennan.
Application for downtown sidewalk cafe seating by the Humble Fork.
All right. Do we have any speakers?
No, sir.
Okay. We have one person at the podium.
That's a presenter.
I know.
He's a presenter.
Yeah. Hey, Stuart, tell us about it.
I'll be happy to sit down if y'all want to vote.
No.
No, I'm here tonight to present to you the sidewalk ordinance for the Humble Fork Sidewalk Cafe. But before I do that, I want to give you a little history on the way the ordinance is written and how it, some of the hoops that they had to go through to get it this far. And we are looking at it. It seems to be very onerous and not it doesn't comport well with the 2050 Kerrville plan. So we're looking at that ordinance. Part of the duty of the applicants to bring an ordinance or to bring a request to the city council is they must have a clear path of travel through their sidewalk in front of their business. They can't have anything within 10 feet of the front door. They're obligated to maintain the sidewalk and even replace the bricks upon our request. They must have $1 million life or insurance policy, and they must notify all the utility districts in there. So we've taken all that and looked at it and said, man, is this really what we want? We like the people. We like seeing people out on the porches. It's been brought to us by the Main Street board that they would like this to be kind of looked at per staff, and then take it to them, have them review our request or all of our recommendations on maybe how to make that a little bit more user-friendly and make it a little bit more vibrant area downtown. And so we're working with them right now. We're redrafting that ordinance. We plan to get with the downtown sidewalk or the downtown district board and take them our recommendations and then bring that back to council later on for y'all to codify it and make it into an ordinance if that would what y'all would prefer. But to make it a lot easier for these people to have a downtown sidewalk cafe. We may change the title just a little bit to outside appurtenances and have more things that are out on the sidewalk so we can account for all that in this ordinance. So with all that being said, Humble Fork has gone through all the current process. They have done all 10 bullet points or 9 bullet points that the city has laid out there. We do have a complete application for them to have a sidewalk permit, and we're presenting it to you tonight for approval.
Let me ask you, so if we approve this tonight, any sidewalk tables and chairs have got to be 10 feet from the entrance?
Yes, sir. That's what the ordinance says.
Boy,
It's not very clear in there, and as I went to Drew's office and I talked to him, I said, this doesn't make very much sense to me, and Drew drew it on the board the way he saw it, which he meant, the way he drew it was out the front door to the end of the sidewalk. When I went and reviewed it, I said it looked like, to me, it was from the front door along the sidewalk, which I agree with you, that doesn't make any sense, but luckily Drew is the only one that's read it that way, but he wasn't able to enlighten me and say, no, I think it's just clear path to the front door to the street. So I said, okay, I can see that, and I agree. It's just one of the problems with the way the ordinance is written in the interpretation. It can lead people to food.
So what we could do tonight is to adopt this, vote for it, and then you would come back later and say, here's how we have redone that ordinance.
Yes, they have completed their application the way it is written existing today. And so they can have, if the council will approve it, they can have a sidewalk permit. or sidewalk cafe permit. Then city staff would take this through our process internally and say, hey, is there any way we can make any recommendations to council that we think that this supplies the adequate protection that we need for vehicular traffic. It also gives clear path of travel through those restaurants, and it still preserves everything that we need it to, and make it a little bit easier on the businesses downtown. So we would draft that up, take it to the downtown district, have them review it, see if they have any input, if we've actually met the spirit of what they think the rule should be, and then we'll bring it back to council for consideration again.
Okay. All
But if
right.
that changes, Stuart, from this, say from the 10 feet, or it's interpreted differently, will that affect the Humble Fork?
They have 1 year. This will be a 1 year permit, so no, it wouldn't affect it. I think that we're leaning towards the way of making it a little bit easier. We don't know that you need that 10-foot requirement in there. My main goal is that you're protected from vehicular traffic, and that you also have at least a 5-foot wide path of travel through the frontage of their building for people that are passing along the way.
Thank you.
At this point, my understanding is staff is recommending this application.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I really encourage you to, I like the way of simplifying it, making it easier for the business person. And I hope that we'll follow through on that in a not too distant future.
We hope to have it on the Main Street Board agenda hopefully next month. We're drafting some stuff right now. It's taking, and get all the departments involved.
Good, good. Council, any other questions?
No, I'm just glad to see it. I think this is what we're
it's
looking
great.
for downtown,
Yeah.
a whole lot more, so this is good.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the sidewalk cafe permit for the Humble Fork.
I'll second it.
All right, got a motion second. All in favor, raise hands. Thank you, it's unanimous. Now, a report on COVID-19.
Briefing and possible action as to the city's ongoing preparedness and response to COVID-19 coronavirus.
Okay, do we have this being done by our new fire chief?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, and I answered earlier, I said it's a totally different speech. I gave one earlier without saying COVID, so I can't do that now.
Oh. Yeah, and he's a local boy, isn't
Yes, sir. So, Starkey Elementary and graduated Tybee High.
he? All right, good. Proceed.
All right, brief update on COVID-19 and the numbers for Kerr County. There we go. Numbers were as of yesterday, didn't get the numbers today. I had a presentation earlier for today's numbers, but 924 are confirmed to date in Kerr County. 94 are considered active, 13 deaths, 817 recovered. And important always looking at that we have 8 hospitalized, which I know changed this evening to 5 are hospitalized. Local update, meetings this week. The Joint Community Leadership will meet on Thursday, October 29th. And the next free public COVID testing will be November 3rd on Election Day. So from 8 to 4 at the Hill Country Youth Exhibit Center. And the last on there for locally is the Halloween safety. So coming up on obviously the 31st. That really just encourage the traditional trick-or-treating as high risk and encourage alternatives provided by the CDC, and that'll be a discussion point coming out of our meeting on Thursday. Reminder that COVID-19 remains a public health threat, and to remain vigilant and do not become complacent as we continue to move forward in the pandemic. Continue to review the CDC guidelines for best practices, continue recommended social distancing, stay home if you're sick, especially coming into the winter months. And the mandatory mask order for commercial and public spaces is still in effect. And then highly encourage the influenza vaccine as we move forward. Questions?
All right, questions?
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
You're very
Good
welcome.
job.
All right. 6C, Ms. McLennan?
Declaration of local state of disaster due to a public health emergency, March 20th, 2020.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments before we go to any public comment?
No, I think it's important that we just remember we do have this on the agenda periodically, just to remind us that we still have that disaster declaration in effect and we're aware of it. And I think it's important that periodically we just at least review it and let the citizens know that it just hadn't gone by the wayside.
All right. Do we have anyone to speak to this?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. We come to items for future agendas. All right. Is there a need for an executive session?
No.
No. All right. And we are adjourned in record time.